Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. Today, I just want to touch on a few things about, these gangsters or shot caller. And I just want to emphasize that there's different levels to it, and that all gangsters ain't equal. When I got to Florence, if you've been following my story, I got jumped over there. And the reason I got jumped was the people that was on the yard, the ones that were in my car, the Asian Islander car, there was 9 of them. But half of them were foul. Few of them were rats, and the other few were covering for them. But when I came on the yard, they knew my history. They know where I've been, and they know for me, it's not acceptable to be on the yard sitting with these dudes. So how it came about was they had a dude from, I think he might have been from Afghanistan or India. I think he's from India. But India, according to the geographic map of the world, is considered Asia. So that being said, he ran under the Asian Islander car. So when he comes on the yard, one of the dudes, another Indian dude, Indian meaning from India, not Native American, said that he checked his paperwork and that everything panned out. But eventually, over a period of a few months, it started coming out that that dude was no good. And it was to the point where they couldn't deny it. They couldn't cover for him. So the guy ends up checking in, the dude from India. He checks in, and then he was in the shoe for, I think, 6 months before I came on the yard. But when I came onto the yard, he had sent a kite out to the homies, talking about he want to come back out on the compound, but he's not going to run Asian Islander. He's going to run white. So the guy that was speaking to me was a dude named Raja. Now, when I hit the compound and I got introduced to everybody, and I tell them, hey, where I've been in Lompoc, I've been over here, I've been in Victorville, I've been in Beaumont, I've been in Atwater, I've been in Florence, Lewisburg. I'm now at Florence. And Raja comes up and he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. I was in Lompoc with you. Now, if you're an Asian Islander or if you're from Utah or anything like that, whatever yard I'm on, I'm going to be introduced to you. And I believe I have a pretty good memory of, facial recognitions and all that. So when he said he was in Lompoc with me, I asked him, well, what unit were you in? And he said he was in B unit. B dorm is in Lompoc, and all the other units, it's just cells. It's a unit, then you got individual cells, whether it's bunk bed or single cell, it's cell. But in B block, it's a dorm. It's an open space dorm. And usually those are reserved for people that don't get in trouble, older people, programmers and all that stuff. That's not saying that those people in those blocks are fucked up or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But he was just telling me that he was in that block and who was all in that block with him. But for me, I didn't remember him. And the reason I didn't remember him is because when I was there in Lompoc, we had an incident with the Crips. And I think I told this story, I don't remember what episode it was, where the homie Jimmy from BTK had got up in the morning and went into a cell and stabbed up this Crip dude named Pruno. And the reason he went into the cell and stabbed up this Crip dude this Crip dude named Bruno, or Pruno, not Bruno, Pruno, is because Pruno was pressing on him, trying to tax him. And if you guys heard the stories that I've shared about the BTK out of New York, these is a Vietnamese gang. A lot of them are ex-military or whatever. They was out there murking stuff, got an indictment, really a lot of the agents that come out of New York blame them from for all the families, all their organizations out of New York, as far as like the Green Dragon, Flying Dragon, I think Golden Shadows, and some other ones that I don't know about. They blame the BTK for the indictments because they had told the BTK that law enforcement were off limits. But these dudes, they're all ex-military dudes out of Vietnam. They didn't care about that shit, so they were hitting whoever they were hitting, and it caused the heat to come down in the early 90s, and the feds came in and swooped up all the Asian organization out of New York. So that being said, Jimmy is from BTK, and for him to be running around the street doing that or whatever, you have to believe he's not somebody's punk. But this dude named Pruno felt, because Jimmy is small, he's like 5'4", but he was yoked up. But 5'4" compared to somebody that's 6'2", that's a big difference. So Pruno thought he could push up on Jimmy and extort him, and Jimmy was like, "Nah, I ain't going for that." So early one morning, he ran up in the cell and stabbed up Pruno and stabbed up a couple other Crips that was in that block. The Crips ran out, and they're fighting on the third tier, and they had him, and they were trying to throw him off the third tier. Luckily, the dude Jimmy was strong. They couldn't get him off the railing, and the cops came in or whatever. But that incident caused all of us to come out of our unit to have a powwow to discuss what's going on. And that's where I met a lot of, some of the Asians and Islanders that never came out of the unit. Supposedly, everybody's supposed to have came out and have this conversation, because if you're affiliated and something happens with your group, the group that you're beefing with, they're not going to be like, "Oh, yeah, he's Asian Islander, but he ain't got nothing to do with the incident, so we're going to leave him alone." No. If you're affiliated and the shit pops off, you're going to get it. So when I got to Florence and this dude Raja was trying to tell me that he was in Lompoc, I kind of looked at him and was like, "Shit, I don't remember you. And this is why I don't remember you. Just the story that I just relayed to you." So I think that already set, tension between us already, because now he knows that I know about him. So a couple months later, we had a couple people in the shoe, and the homie Scope and the homie KO went over there to ask about when these guys are coming back out, or if they're getting shipped out. And while they were asking about the couple homies that was in the shoe, the SIS stands for Special Investigation Service. They're like the eternal affair of the penitentiary. They're the ones that can refer indictments on inmates and staff alike. They can contact the FBI and come remove a warden off the compound, or a staff member, or inmates, whatever. They're the police of the prison. So the SIS comes and tells me that not tell me, but tell the homeboys that the couple of dudes, that the homies that we got in the shoe, they're gonna be coming out in a few months. So at that time, Scope and KO asked him about this Indian dude, like, what are they doing with him? And SIS said, "Oh, that's already resolved. We're not gonna let him out. Raja said not to let him out." Now, the point of the story is, we don't let the law, whether it's SIS or staff or anything, intervene in our behalf, right? So when Raja went and told SIS that not to let this dude out because he has a problem with him, because at the end of our conversation with me and Raja, when he said, "Yeah, this dude wants to come back out, but he's gonna run white," I said, "This dude is hot, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "How is the white boys gonna let him run with you guys, with them, if he's hot? And then how are we get a look, we got some dude that supposedly used to be in our car that is under the Asian Islander car, but is now not running with us, but running with another group. I say that's not a good look. And also, we're not going to stop him from coming out. This is why I told Roger. I said, if he wants to come out, he can come out. We're not going to go to SIS and stop him from coming out. I told him, you're going to deal with it because you took up on the role upon yourself to stamp him to clear him. And then he turned out to be fucked up. So when he comes out, you're going to deal with him. But if you need some help, we'll send somebody over there with you. So knowing that, that's when later on they pulled a move on me and jumped me in the kitchen. Now I say this to emphasize that everybody has different rules on how to conduct themselves, but there shouldn't be any different rules. For me, I don't think there's ever a time that is acceptable for you to go to the SIS or go to the police and have them intervene in your behalf or have them stop somebody from coming out or having them calling them up to go pick up this dude from the yard. You know, like people, they go, hey man, you need to come and get so-and-so or we're going to hurt him. If you're going to hurt him, hurt him. But when you call and tell somebody that this guy can't be in the yard, you're telling. Or if you go to SIS and tell somebody, hey, don't let that guy out of the shoe, don't let him on the compound, you're telling, right? So when I made that decision and said, yeah, when that dude comes out, you go ahead and punish him. But then when the information came back that Roger had spoken to the SIS, well, in my eyes, and in everybody else's eyes, that's considered being a fucking rat. So I tell the homies, well, he's a rat. So now he gets to get knocked off. So they had this dude, Kim, he's Korean. Yeah, he was selling with a dude named Snow. Snow's out of Detroit, black dude. And Snow's a good dude. You know, he's not on no gang time or anything like that. Everything I know about Snow, like I got to know Snow as, you know, I spent the years over there in Florence, and he's a good dude. You know, there's nothing foul about him. He goes hard, but he minds his own business. So Snow comes to me, because, you know, Snow's been living there, know these guys. He comes to me, and he's like, hey, Mason, can I speak to you? I was like, yeah, what's up? I said, hey, about this issue with Roger, because Kim went, you know, Kim violated by putting our business and sharing it with Snow, even though Snow is his celly, it's still our business, it's nobody else's business. You know, I've never been one to go around and be like, hey, you guys get your showers, get your commissary, because we're going to go hit this dude. And the reason I don't do that is because I don't want any of these people that being shared the information to run to the police or drop a kite or call them to prevent, you know, the work from being done. So he shares this information with Snow. So Snow comes to me and is like, hey man, you know, I don't think, you know, you should be putting a hit on Roger because I don't consider that telling. Right? And like I said, me and Snow, this is like the first 3 weeks I was in Florence, so I haven't got a chance to get to know Snow yet. But after the 7 months I spent in the shoe and came back out the next few years, I got to know Snow, and he turned out to be a pretty good dude. But that being said, our mentality is, at its core, it's different. Because I don't believe that it's ever acceptable for you to ever have law enforcement, SIS staff to intervene in your behalf, to keep you from doing what you're supposed to do. So when Snow comes to me and he's like, man, you know, what's the problem with that? Like, you know, if he doesn't, you stop him from coming out of the shoe, then your homies don't gotta go put in the work and everything is cool. And I shut Snow down as soon as he mentioned it. I said, Snow, this ain't a conversation I'm having with you. And to his credit, he respected that, and we never spoke about it again. But that's why I want to speak on different mentality, because you have these so-called shot callers. You know, they're on a yard, they're comfortable, you know, they have access to resources and stuff, they're secure, and they want to keep their position. Because when you're a shot caller, anything that happens with your group of people, at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be held accountable, regardless if you're the one that's getting your hand dirty or not, because they understand that nothing can happen without you giving the green light. So if anything happened with your people, they know that the order came down from you. So if they got to ship somebody out or hold somebody accountable, they're going to come to the guy that's at the top of the pyramid. But throughout my history that I've been down, there's a lot of dudes that are in position of being a spokesman or shot caller or big homies or whatever. They don't see anything wrong with doing that. And when I speak on that, I'm not excluding any organization. I'm not going to sit here and put all the different names out and stuff, because, you know, I don't want people getting their feelings that I'm calling them a rat or anything like that. Because from this perspective here is that somehow they justify it in their head that they don't see anything wrong with that, where I draw a harder line when it comes to involving SIS, staff, and all the rest of it. So, you know, we all like to think that everybody in the pen, everybody that's got patches on their neck, or everybody that's affiliated with an organization or a gang, that we all walk the same line. But the truth is, we all don't. You know, you can justify, this how they justify it to me, the few that I've spoken to when these things come up. They're like, well, that dude's fucked up. Why would we let him come out and then have to risk some of our good homies to go on a mission and punish him? Now we're putting some of our good homies in jeopardy over this piece of shit. But my mentality is, well, if you let this piece of shit slide without being punished, then he's going to think that his behavior or his conduct or his record, his paperwork, is acceptable, because no one's held him accountable, and he ain't got to worry about nothing, because everywhere he goes, the police is going to protect him, or you guys are going to protect him by not punishing him. I'm always of the mentality, this is the place that we live. Here are the laws, here are the rules, and these are the things that are necessary to uphold these laws and these rules. But you have a lot of dudes that, like I said, that are comfortable in their position, that don't want to disrupt it, and they overlook certain behavior. But at the end of the day, when you leave trash around, it's going to pollute the whole area. Because if I got somebody that comes on a compound and he's a rat, but he didn't tell on me, so I'm like, well, he didn't tell on me, I'm cool. Well, you know he's a rat, and he might not tell on you, but you think a rat's going to stop ratting just because he's in the penitentiary now? No, that's who he is. So now you're jeopardizing the community, whether it's your block or the yard that you're on, by allowing this motherfucker to sit around the compound. Because he ratted in the beginning to get a lesser sentence, right? So you don't think he's going to take up an opportunity when he's in the unit and see people making moves or doing things or whatever? You don't think he's going to run over there and tell SIS to try to get to a lower security in exchange to get into a lower security, or even to try to exchange to get some time knocked off. There's been plenty of incidents throughout the history that I've been in that these what these people do. So when I have conversations with these so-called gangsters, and they talk that gangster shit, but the guy that's sitting them at their table is foul. In my mind, for me, everything that came out of your mouth don't mean anything because obviously your action don't correlate with what you're trying to tell me. And that's why I always have a habit of saying that we can all make our lips move and make whatever sound comes out of it, but our actions and our deed really is a true indicator of who we are and what we truly believe. So that being said, when I put the hit on Roger, he had a group of, I'm brand new. I'm only been there for 3 weeks. So he's got his own little crew that are covering for each other. But now they know that I'm on the yard and I'm not going to allow these dudes to sit around me, these foul ass dudes. So that's when they plotted on me and jumped me in the kitchen. And again, like I've shared this story already, but just to emphasize, I got jumped in the kitchen by a Tonga dude from Frisco and a Laos dude from Kansas City. But at the end of the day, everybody said I won, right? If I had 30 more seconds, I would have been stomping that Tongan dude out. I already hit the Laos dude, and I don't know where he went. He went over the rail, and me and the Tongan dude was going at it, and he was fat and out of shape, and he was running out of breath. And I had him slumped down on the bench, because we're in the kitchen with the kitchen table, and I'm piecing him up. His ass hit the bench, kind of like sat down, but before I could do anything, my vision changed. Police came from behind me, picked me up, and body slammed me. Right. So the GDs, the Vice Lords, I just mentioned them for this segment because I've had a lot of interactions with their politics. Like for us, if you checked in on another yard, meaning that there was an incident or whatever, you didn't want to go on a mission or you stole or whatever you did and you had to be removed off the yard. For us, if you got checked in Atwater and you show up in Florence, I'm not going to let you walk. Is a difference like if you fucked up and you took your ass whooping and the homie beat you up and beat you up, but you didn't tell or anything, that's okay. But if you voluntarily went to SIS and say, hey, I can't be on this yard no more, my life is in danger, well, that's what a check-in is. And when you do that, I don't care what anybody tells you. When you go to the police and tell them, hey, I can't be on this yard, my life is in danger, you have to debrief because you have to convince the staff, the SIS, that you need protection. And the only way you're going to convince them is by telling them, hey, I owe this guy money. He's going to kill me. So please put me in his shoe and protect me. So when you do that, you're a rat, right? So for us, when somebody comes on the compound and we know that they checked in at another spot, as soon as we find out, I'm not going to ask you why you checked in or what you said to SIS or any of the rest. I know you checked in because I got your it's like a booking sheet, where when they lock you up, they give you a paper that says why they're locking you up. They're not going to go through the details of everything that you said and all that. The thing they use for cover is they say, oh, he was placed under investigation. But everywhere you go, the penitentiary, even though there's 20 of them now, it's a small world. Everybody knows you're going to run into somebody that knows where you've been and what you've done. So when the word comes back, the reason why he got checked in or the reason why he ran off, when that comes back, I'm going to knock you off. I'm not going to let you on the yard. But the GDs, and the vice lord. Now, this is not a broad brush for all the ones in the system. These the ones I'm speaking on is the ones that I'm on the yard with. These guys, they have a rule. The GDs have a rule that even though you got ran off on one yard or checked in on one yard, when you come to a new yard, it starts over, right? They don't hold your record from the other yard against you. They have their rules or they have their reasons, but I think one of the main reasons that they have it that way is because they want the numbers, right? When it comes to the racial tension between in the federal prison, whites, blacks, and Mexicans do not like each other. And these groups, they want that numbers to combat the opposition. But the one thing that I can say about the white dudes in the Fed system, they don't play that shit. If you checked in from another compound, they don't care why you checked in, what reason you checked in. If it comes back that you ran off the yard because you didn't want to deal with something, the white dude's gonna knock you off. If they find out you're a sex offender, they find out you're a rat, they are gonna knock you off without hesitation. But when it comes to the blacks, it's not so black and white, you know, and it's disappointing. So, prime example, let me give you just real quick on a story in Atwater to make my point. They had this dude named Mike, you know, vice lord. He comes to Atwater from Victorville. You know, he's big on gambling or whatever. He ends up getting caught up. He goes to the shoe. Now, in the shoe, there was another vice lord named Butter. And he was on the same tier with Mike. They were in different cells, but he was on the same tier with Mike. So, but they got Mike classified as the spokesman at that time for this group. So when the counselor, the case manager is walking through, they overhear Mike, the case manager, asking Mike, like, hey, what's up with this guy, a dude named Butter? And Mike tells him, hey man, don't let him out. He's too much trouble. We don't want to deal with him. So a month later, they let Mike on the compound, but then they let Butter out. So Butter sends out a kite to his homeboy and say, hey, fucking Mike is keeping me from coming out of the yard. So when Mike gets out, Mike lived in my unit. When Mike gets out, 3 or 4 vice lords, they come into my unit to come and get him. But not get him like punish him. They came over there and they told Mike, hey, you got to pack up your shit and get the fuck off the yard. And Mike did. He packed up his shit and got off the yard. So when that happened, you know, I'm good friends with a lot of these different dudes. And I'm asking, I was like, why did you guys run off Mike? It's like, oh, that motherfucker told case manager Shufo, her name was Shufo, case manager Shufo, not to let the homie Butter out. I said, oh yeah, so he told? He goes, yeah. So then I asked him, well, how come he didn't get punished? And that's when they're like, well, we don't want to risk some of our good dudes knocking off this dude. And so when they told me that, that's when I start, you know, like I said, my mentality is different from some of these guys. And I looked at these guys a little different, even though like I was cool with them. I got to know them through years, and by all accounts, I think they're good dudes, thorough dudes. But during the time that I was incarcerated, I pushed a hard line. There was a lot of things that were not acceptable to me. There were a lot of things that I believe that were just clear, black and white. But when I see people deviating from the things that I expect them to do because of whatever reasoning they give, which, okay, yeah, it's reasonable, but I still don't agree with it, then I look at them a little different. So that's why I said in the beginning of the video, you know, all gangsters ain't equal. Welcome to the USP.